Hey everyone. So, as promised, um, I'm giving y'all an update on all my test results from the Cleveland Clinic, um, and some extra test results that I had done from my now former primary care physician. And I say former because, well, it's a long story that I'll shorten up. But anyway, um, so the calprotectin, I'll put it on the screen, which was a sample. It was 168. It was like 168.1 or something like that. Basically, what that is it measures the amount of inflammation in your bowels, and mine's really high. 120 is abnormal high, and 168 is really high. Now, the GI that I saw at the Cleveland Clinic said in his interpretation that I have mild inflammation. And I'm like, what? Mild? Mild would be a lot less than 168, because when I got the test results, it has the information from the manufacturer that, anything over 120, is like not good. So it's basically suggesting a lot of inflammation in my large intestine. And then the other one was a pancreas test using that same sample, and it showed that my pancreas is not producing enough enzymes to break down my food. So he called in an enzyme, but he called it into the Cleveland Clinic pharmacy, which of course I was already home. So I had my primary care physician prescribe the same enzyme, which unfortunately, after I picked it up, I realized I can't take it. It's produced using pork products. I don't understand how that process works, but my body doesn't really like to digest pork products, and I'm really hesitant to try to even attempt until I see the new GI that unfortunately my appointment got shoved to the middle of November. So I'm supposed to take this enzyme every time I eat something. But anyway, that's not going to happen until I see this new GI, whom I found on the Crohn's Coalition website, and it's a local GI. I was first scheduled for the end of September, and then I got a call by her office saying that she's having she'll be in surgery on that day, and they had to push me to November. That kind of sucks. Um, and then, of course, my blood test for celiac was negative. My biopsies of my esophagus and stomach and all that were negative. They were normal. And that's pretty much all that doctor did up there at the Cleveland Clinic. He really didn't do any other tests than that. He did not physically look at my MRI or my abdominal CT scan. He only read the reports that I had, which kind of sucked, to be honest. They were not concerned about the cysts I have in my lower abdomen. They kept saying they were ovarian cysts. Well, y'all know I don't have ovaries. And so on and so forth. So when I got back, I made an appointment with my primary care provider. Did some research while I was waiting and found some, and then my gastric emptying study, which that was at the Cleveland Clinic, and that came back normal. Now, here's the thing with that. I had been fasting for a total of 36 hours when I had that gastric emptying study, because it was the day after my endoscopy and my colonoscopy, which I had to be fasting 24 hours, liquid only, the day before that. So after I got done with that procedure, I tried to eat something late that evening. That didn't work out because, as y'all know from my last video, I got Chipotle burrito bowl that burned like a mofo. Didn't go over too well. So I had absolutely nothing in my system for 48 hours. 48 hours I had been fasting. Clear liquids only. Prior to my gastric emptying study. So it was normal, according to the GI up there. By hour 4, I had 1% left in my stomach. So anyway, that was that. And then I went to my primary care physician the week after I got back and had a list of tests, some of which he had never heard of, so we're leaving that up to the GI that I'll see now in November. And then he ordered an abdominal ultrasound and some blood work and an upper GI. Basically, the upper GI was very similar to my barium swallow study, which surprisingly came back normal this time. And the abdominal ultrasound, however, I was diagnosed with non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, that didn't surprise me because I've had quite a bit of pain around my liver area. So And then I've kind of noticed that my liver looked larger than average. But after the incident I'm going to tell you about happened, the nurse at the doctor's office decided to call me and give me that result over the phone instead of, having me come in and sit me down and explain it to me. Just called me on the phone and said, "Oh, by the way, we got your results back. You have fatty liver disease. Bye," and hung up. So yeah, I was kind of shocked and kind of like devastated. It took me by surprise, and I was already just crushed and emotional from everything that had transpired up to that point with the doctor's office. So it had been this roller coaster up to that point. The blood work he ordered was some standard blood work, regular chemistry, hematology, and then food allergies. I think that's it. But there was a mix-up in the office about the lab that I was going to. The nurse filled out paperwork for one lab that I don't go to because they won't file with my insurance. Even though they take my insurance, they refuse to file. They'll bill me. But they'll bill everybody else who has Medicare. I don't understand it. So when I looked at it, I thought I had seen 2 other lab tests checked. And, when you have brain compression and it causes your eyes to go wonky, it just kind of, anyway, that's kind of what happened. My eyes went wonky. I should have put my glasses on, and I should have double-checked the paperwork before I left the office. So they changed the paperwork and put it on the correct lab orders. They got the correct lab, changed the paperwork, and had the nurse practitioner sign off on it. Now, I've never seen the nurse practitioner in my doctor's office ever. She's never treated me, nothing. And I didn't even look at the paperwork until I got to the lab. And then I looked at the paperwork, and that's when I looked down. I was like, when I saw it, it was standing in front of the receptionist, and they all know me there. We joke that I had so many pictures there, I could be a model from the inside out. So I told her, I said, two tests are missing, I think. And I said, and they were like on the column right next to the ones that he had checked. And they were just like electrolytes and the ferrite. And I said, I guess I'll check these. And she said, well, then I'll go ahead and call and get the codes. I'm like, cool, no problem. And neither one of us thought anything of it. Because, Texas is one of those states, there's 26 states in the United States where you don't need a doctor's order to go into some labs to get blood work. You can't file it with your insurance, but you can pay for it out of pocket. And, I wasn't trying to be shady or anything. And it just was kind of just one of those weird things. And so I got called to the back to make my appointment for the ultrasound. And when I came up, she was on the phone with my doctor's office to get the codes for those two tests and was told that those weren't on the original paperwork. And she was like, okay, no problem. We'll just cross them out. And I'm like, no big deal. Well, apparently it was a big deal. And at the time, I didn't know how big of a deal it was. 2 days later, I got a letter in the mail from the nurse practitioner saying that effective immediately, my patient-physician relationship was terminated for altering medical orders. Well, according to the Texas State Board, you can't terminate a patient immediately, especially chronic care or critical care patients like myself. You have to give them adequate time frame to find a new physician, especially when there's ongoing treatment requiring the care of a physician or continuous care of a physician. It's considered medical abandonment. And I didn't know what to do, so that was on a Saturday. I got that first letter. Then that Monday, I got the phone call about the liver disease, and I went to the doctor's office to ask about what I could do about that. Because I really didn't think that that was really fair, because it was an accident, starting within the doctor's office. And so I was told to write out an explanation of what happened in my own words, so I did. And I left it there for the office manager and my doctor to review. And I got another letter from the office manager that was very condescending, telling me that, quoting part of my letter and saying that altering medical records was the same as writing my own prescriptions. And that my patient-physician relationship was effective immediately terminated. So that's not true, by the way. It's not the same. But it's not cool. And I never actually got a chance to talk to my doctor. He was on vacation this whole time. So I wrote a letter to him, sent it certified return receipt, restricted delivery, and explaining, what happened, explaining medical abandonment to him, the whole 9 yards. And then I get a letter back from him that I have 30 days to find a new physician. And now I have no desire to go back down there, even though he wants me to come in and to go over my results. They've made no attempt to call me and make an appointment for me, and I don't want to either. So yeah, there's that. But my blood work is really wonky. My kidney function is way out of whack. I've got a lot of other stuff that's really out of whack, and it's just not good. So, I have a doctor's appointment this week on Tuesday with my awesome gynecologist to go over, it's a follow-up to my last one. Maybe he can point me in the right direction to a new primary care physician. Fingers crossed. I gotta start all over again. So, anyway, that's that. Yeah. So, that's all my news now. And then at the end of the week, I get my new knee braces from the hanger clinic. Yay. No more falling in the bathroom. Yeah, I did that too. I'm sure I probably looked like some kind of psychotic pigeon flailing around as I went down. Don't know how it happened, but yeah. Went down in the bathroom. Which is why I'm getting 2 knee braces, because my legs just went out from underneath me and I went down hard. So, yeah, good times. Yeah. Anyway, that's all for now. Give this video a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and I will see y'all soon. Bye for now. Do you want to say goodnight to the people, Bo? Do you want to say goodnight? No, I'm grumpy. I don't want to say goodnight. I don't even want to look at the camera.